Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content and help you answer the question, is there anything funnier than an executive being booted at a commencement speech? No. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Join me today, Dylan Blatt.
I missed that. Who was that?
David Vaslav was giving the commencement speech at the Boston University graduation ceremony and was repeatedly booed, and the crowd was chanting, "Pay your riders," and other things while he was trying to give his 20-minute speech.
That's very funny.
Yeah, very fun. I think there was from what I think it's from this, like a plane flew across with like the banner thing that they do, saying "Pay your riders." Yeah. So, wow. Here we are, week 3 of Rise Strike, still going strong, unfortunately. On today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, going over some film news, giving you some thumbs for trailers, and talking about this week's top 3. We'll kick things off straight away with Fast X, the 10th entry in the Fast and Furious mainline franchise, starring Vin Diesel and the rest of his family. I've got a review up at explosion.com. I gave it an 8 out of 10 and said, with Fast X billed as the first part of a 2 or possibly 3-part finale to the franchise, it's not likely to win over anyone who's not already invested in Dominic Toretto and his family, but it does shake things up with the franchise's most interesting antagonist to date. Of course, we've also got a spoiler cast up on this podcast feed. But Dylan, what are your spoilery-free thoughts on Fast X?
Yeah, it's obviously I'm a big fan of the Fast and Furious franchise. Not all the movies are great, but it's generally the blockbuster. This is what blockbuster Hollywood franchises should be to me. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. A lot of fun. You're along for the ride. It doesn't take itself super serious. It's good. It's good fun. What some wild revelations. The rules to this is nearly an anime at this point. It's just some ridiculous. There's no reality to anything that's going on. It's great. I like the direction that the finale seems to be heading in. Like, thematically, I like the importance put on family more so than ever, which is a weird thing to say, but yeah, I appreciate that. And doing a proper, I appreciate the commitment to doing a proper full, like, hard cut cliffhanger. So there's like a part 2, potentially part 3 coming, whatever we're getting. But yeah, I appreciate that as we go into the finale here.
Yeah, I'm definitely clearly enjoyed the film as well. I think there's some really good action sequences. It is primarily focused on Dom and the new character played by Jason Momoa, Dante, who is a joy to watch on screen. Especially seeing reports this week that he was trying to break Vin Diesel on set and wasn't able to. That's like, yeah, that checks out. With his flamboyantness and his cheeky lines, blowing raspberries and stuff. It's like, yeah, lots of fun.
It's nearly worth. It's like, if you fell off this franchise, like, it's worth the admission just for Jason Momoa. He's definitely the best villain the franchise has had so far, or at all. He's going to be the last villain.
He's at least the most, like, memorable.
Yeah, he's actually got a personality.
Even though there's been the last few films, there's been big name stars as the antagonist.
Yeah, but they've just been whatever.
I mean,
like, as I said, Jason Statham was a good bad guy, but he still didn't have much. He was just like, he was good at playing the threatening dude or whatever, and I appreciated him in that role. And
he wasn't even the main bad guy in his film, right? He was like the sneaky dude, pops up and like fucks up with his shit.
Yeah, there was another tie-in, but there was like he was the main bad guy for the family, I guess, and then the other bad guy was like the people they were trying to like stop for the agency or whatever. I guess there was like 2 bad guys, but then even Charlize Theron, like, I don't think she's come across as big of a bad guy success as maybe they had hoped.
Yeah, because they didn't let her do anything.
Yeah.
Until this movie, if you want to see Charlize Theron do stuff, watch this movie. Crazy. So yeah, really exciting. It is definitely a part 1. I think maybe that will turn some people off. Like, I've seen people get upset that it kind of ends on like a cliffhanger.
But we knew it was. They announced it as this is the end of the road. Like we're doing a. This is
The
one of two.
tagline's the beginning of the end, I think.
Yeah,
So
it's as I said in our spoiler cast, as redundant as it is. Like this is very much this is Infinity, whatever that movie was
Infinity
called,
War.
Infinity War, and then we're gonna have Endgame next. So
It's Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1.
sure.
Yeah. So check out all our Fast X content. I was lucky enough to go to a screening of Renfield last night. Of course, this is the upcoming comedy horror film starring Nicholas Hoult as the maligned Renfield, who of course is the familiar of Dracula in this film, played by Nicolas Cage. And it's the classic story of Renfield needing to help Dracula get his victims so he can, continue to live because he's a vampire, believe it or not. Through their trials and tribulations, they've of a pattern of Dracula going on a massive killing spree and them needing to leave their location and set up shop in a new place. They find themselves in New Orleans now. Dracula has been mortally injured and is slowly rebuilding his body after being caught in the sun. I think it's not exactly clear how he injured himself terribly. But Renfield is starting to realize that maybe he's in a bad way, is a bad person, that, feeding people to Dracula is maybe not a great feeling, even though he's kind of tried to feed Dracula a bunch of shitty people instead of the innocent victims that he did in his earlier years. And soon finds himself at odds with the local crime family, who, want to take him out, and it gets into a big kind of thing. I had a good time. I don't think it's terribly. It's not a spectacular movie in any way, but is solid, enjoyable, fun. There is some. It is incredibly over the top, especially with its action as bloody scenes. There are several instances of people being impaled with ripped off limbs. And Nicolas Cage is really good as Dracula. It's just, even my audience would laugh, even just the weirdest head twitch. There's just something really enjoyable about seeing Nicolas Cage as Dracula, with his whole teeth full of pointy teeth and fangs. And
this is a dream role for him.
It kind of is. I believe he's played a vampire before, but yeah,
he has.
Yeah.
No, well,
yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'll probably have a review up later in the week. But yeah, check out Renfield. I think if you just want a fun, enjoyable time, solid comedy. Awkwafina plays a police officer. She's really good. She's the one not corrupt cop in New Orleans. The story is kind of simplistic and kind of, it's kind of there.
It doesn't need to be anything.
It doesn't need to be anything too fancy. It's Nicholas Hoult as being Nicholas Hoult, or more dialed up, Nicholas Hoult, I guess, because he has a fair bit of range. That's to be fair. But yeah, just some of the crazy action. Huzzah! Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. So check out Renfield. Dylan, this week, Mrs. Davis finished its first and potentially only season. What do you think of the conclusion of Mrs. Davis?
I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. The entire show was fantastic. I think it's really smart. I think it's even. I think it's sort of. It's maybe too smart. How it sort of comes together is so silly, but so simple, but almost realistic. The way revelations play out for certain things and whatnot. But yeah, I really enjoyed this 8-episode ride. Yes, they could potentially do another one, but I think the story that's told here, um, and the way especially those last 3 episodes, I guess, bring a big focus back to the relationships between the main characters and like sort of the healing that needs to be done between some of them and just like big conversations and choices. And obviously Mrs. Davis gets the one big final choice at the end. And you could debate that. And I'm sure a lot of people watching the show, you may feel like she made the wrong choice or the right choice for different reasons and stuff like that. And I think that may say different things about different people and stuff like that. But I definitely think it's one of the best shows of the year so far. Very, very, very well written and just willing to take wild swings and punches and just trust the audience will be along for the ride.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed watching the show week to week or like a couple episodes at a time. It's just, like you said, incredibly wild. Like some of the ideas that are just thrown in this, incredible. Everything from the Holy Grail to, Mrs. Davis being a worldwide algorithm, the origins of the algorithm, fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Just yeah, it's a crazy story, and it's enjoyable all the way through. Like delving into Simone's backstory and her history, with her father and her mother. Yeah, just every single turn is like some crazy twist or revelation, or really, it's it's disappointing that clearly it didn't find an audience, because I feel like if it was more popular, people would be more upset about it. Especially,
or would be seeing like gifs and stuff like from the show or something like that. But I just don't see anyone talking about it. So
no, yeah, it's weird. It'll be one of those ones that I feel I'll find a cult following. So
yeah,
but yeah, I'm comfortable with it. Ending here.
Yeah, I am too.
I think there's rumors of it being submitted as a limited series at the Emmys, so which could be the writing on the wall. But I think it's really enjoyable, crazy story that feels fulfilling. There's clearly some threads that you could potentially. Well, there's one clear thread that you could take into the next season, but
it's not enough to be disappointed. Like if this is one and done, I think that the majority that the choice was made throughout the progress of the show to wrap up 99% of everything. So
yeah, so you could definitely recommend people to watch this show even if it isn't coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right, so that's Mr. Davis. Check it out on Binge. Is what we're saying. Please,
it's very good.
So I watched White Man Can't Jump, the new remake of the 1992 film. This one starring Cinqua Walls and Jack Harlow. Both of them play promising high school basketball prodigies, who are now in their late 20s, early 30s, and did not fulfill their potential. Who go around playing pickup basketball games, who team up in order to play in a big pickup game 2-on-2 tournament to win a bunch of money. It's enjoyable enough. I, of course, haven't watched the original film, but it kind of relies on the charisma of the two leads. I think Jack Harlow was quite amusing at times, but I could definitely see his shtick not working for everybody.
And you've never seen the original, right?
No, I haven't seen the original.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's a very much a classic sports story kind of thing. Very, similar moments. There is some fun of them going to different pickup games and like trash talking a bit and that kind of stuff. And the two friends, like it's written by Keenan Barris, who of course is known for like Blackish and that kind of stuff. There's some pretty hard, clearly African American humor there, or biting humor and making fun of a lot of race stuff in the film. My highlight, Lance Reddick. He plays Cinqua Wall's father He's really fantastic in this movie. So, if this is one of his last performances, it's a pretty solid way to go out. So, yeah, if you got nothing else to watch, White Man Can't Jump on
So
Disney
I will
Plus.
never watch this movie.
Probably not. All right, Dylan, you forgot around to watching Confess Fletch.
I did. I thought it was okay. So for people don't know, it's like based on the book series, but most prominently there was two movies starring Chevy Chase in the 80s or whatever, which are both very good. I don't think this is as good as either of those, or maybe I remember watching those when I was younger, so I don't know. I think John Hamm's good as Fletch. There's something about the pacing of this movie though that just feels weird to me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It just feels like a lot of the time the scenes are just like happening and there's just no sort of rhythm to the movie. And I really feel like movies like this, where it's sort of, a mystery, it's just a mystery sort of thing happening where obviously the movie starts with Fletch. He's comes back to this house and he finds a dead woman there and he calls the cops and the cops turn up and they're like, hey, you probably did it. And he's like, why would I call you? And then like begins this whole thing with the cop in it, Inspector, whatever his name is, who's a prominent character in the books and everything. This is his first time he showed up. He was never in the other movies. But then, he's got this, he was doing a job for this like rich family or whatever, trying to find their paintings. And like, it's a mystery investigation sort of thing where he's a private eye, PI or whatever at the time. So I think there's a bit of a fun pacing missing from this movie, which is, it's meant to be, it is funny at times, thanks to John Hamm, who has discovered his secret sort of comedy chops over the last few years, I feel. But yeah, there was something missing from it for me. So I gave it a 6 on Trakt, which is probably where I'd sit for it.
All right. Then you watched a movie called Full Circle.
Yes, I watched this last night. I got sent so I should have a review up for this one because I got sent the Blu-ray release for this one, new release from Imprint. This is an interesting movie which I'd heard about but never watched because it's a Mia Farrow film, which, like, Mia Farrow has an interesting career because obviously she could have been, if she chose to be, like sort of this horror icon, and she is to a degree because of one film, which is the thing. So she does Roman fucking the rapist Polanski's film, fucking Rosemary's Baby, right? So Mia Farrow plays Rosemary, massive early 70s film, sort of kicks off this whole horror genre. Of people trying to imitate the same style and whatever else. Mia Farrow could have followed that, but she didn't. She only did like a handful of other horror films. She sort of picked and chose what she did. And Full Circle is an interesting one because it definitely falls in. It comes out in late 70s, so 1978. This is around the time that slashers are picking up. So it's interesting this got made at all because that's the direction that horror fan base was going at the time. Even after Rosemary's Baby was, and even like The Exorcism and all this stuff is sort of more, I guess, thoughtful horrors, whatever you want to call it. Full Circle's this full sort of, it's like a psychological horror. There's not really, it's a gothic horror. It's a psychological gothic horror film about this woman who, at the start of the film, she's having breakfast with her daughter and her husband, and her daughter starts to choke on an apple or something like that. And this is before what the fuck's it called? That Heimlich? That's what it's called, isn't it? Where you like
the Heimlich maneuver.
Right. So this is prior to Heimlich maneuver to get stuff to help in scenarios like this. So her daughter like basically choking to death and they try and call an ambulance, but then it's very much implied that she attempts to perform a like a incision in the throat where you'd get airwaves through to help someone breathe, but it doesn't go well, of course. And then it cuts to years later where her daughter's dead and she spent an unknown amount of time sort of in a hospital dealing with obviously a huge breakdown over what's happened. And then as she comes out and she moves into this other house, and then she starts seeing her daughter, and she starts like hearing stories of these other potential weird things happening in the house, and she starts to investigate them. But then there's this whole element of like, is this all in her head? Is it just because it's this distraught woman who's lost her child, or all these elements. I really enjoyed it though. I think Mia Farrow obviously gives a very good performance. It's shot very well. It's got this. It definitely plays into the more gothic vibes of the setting and the story and everything like that. And the way it's portrays, I guess, the loss of family and the way it can, like the way it can just really destroy someone and stuff like that. It's I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was very, very good.
All right. And then you also watched Who's Sarah, the Bone Woman.
Actually, don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's fine.
How do you pronounce it then?
I don't know. Sarah, yeah, Sarah, the Bone Woman. So this is similar. No, not similar, but yes and no. This I would also put into a genre of like if that other movie Full Circle / that's actually its European name, like, but just going back to that for 2 seconds, I gotta mention the funniest fucking thing to me, which I just remembered before I go too far. The Haunting of Julia is it was what it was released at in America, right? Full Circle Europe. On this Blu-ray release, when you click play film, it gives you the option of picking between the two options. The only change it makes is the title that comes up at the start of the movie. So you can pick if you want to view it as you're watching Haunting of Julia or Full Circle. The rest of the movie's fine. It's literally just a title card. Very good. I was like, am I going insane, or is that literally the only change?
Double movie pack.
Yeah, if you want to view it that way. But yeah, so if that movie obviously focuses on the loss of a child and stuff like that. Sarah the Bone Woman focuses on I guess society's push for women to always be mothers, and like around what that potentially is. This is another very good. I've had a good week for horror movies, I feel. The poster, I guess, may make you feel like this is going to be a lot more of a like fucked up scary movie than what it is, but it's definitely a lot more of a psychological horror movie as well, coming out of Mexico. I thought it was very, very good though. But you've got this woman played by what's the character's name? Valeria. She's having the movie starts and she finds out she's pregnant, and she's super happy with her and her husband. But then as the film goes on and she starts to get more pregnant, she starts seeing like these things like out her window. She wakes up in the middle of the night and she's seeing like people like crawling around on the ground, just weird fucking shit. And she starts like feeling like, like she constantly like cracks her bones, and like it's definitely like you can see from the outset like she's just in undue stress. But the most interesting parts for me are as the movie gets further in, it starts showing you do some flashbacks to who she was as a person prior to where we meet her at the start of the film, and she was a completely different person because now she's being forced into this very stereotypical mother role. She's it all sort of it goes one piece by one piece, like as she sort of loses part of her own personality, of which the first one at the start of the movie is she's someone who has a room in the house, and she has an entire workshop set up, and she and her thing is she likes to build things and sell them, and she's always been really into like like making things with her hands or whatever else. And the first thing she has to lose once she gets pregnant is, oh well, I got to pack all that up because I need a room for the baby, and all those chemicals are going to be bad for the baby. So straight away it's like, and as the movie progresses, it's more and more of like losing herself to the baby, I guess, and to the standards pushed upon her by society and by her own family about what it means to be a mother and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd highly suggest it. It's on Shudder. I really, really enjoyed this one as well.
Awesome. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. So I watched the To All the Boys I Ever Loved spin-off series XO Kitty, which I keep getting wrong. I keep calling it Kitty XO, in which you follow Kitty Sonkovy, who's a little sister from those films, who has decided she's applied to go to KISS, which is the Korean International School at Seoul, where her mother went to high school for 1 year, to be at the same place that her longtime boyfriend / pen pal, who they set up in the last film, is studying. So she applies for a scholarship, gets a scholarship, and goes across the country, across the world, really, to the school. Doesn't tell her boyfriend Day, wanted to surprise him, but spoilers, first episode, Day's got another girlfriend.
Well, spoilers. It's in the trailer, but
well, here's the spoiler. What is the most known quantity of the To All the Boys I Ever Loved franchise?
That she leaks all the letters or something. I don't know. What do you mean?
What's the main thing about the Peter and Lara relationship at the start?
They're neighbors. What?
It's a fake relationship, Dylan.
Oh, right,
fake relationship.
Oh, okay, right, gotcha. Yeah.
So yeah, Day and the girl.
They're in a fake relationship.
Yeah, they're in a fake relationship. Yuri. Yeah, and Kitty doesn't know, so now she's all heartbroken. But Day is trapped in the situation, and it goes into classic YA situations from there. It's also got the foreigner fishing, fish out of water situation of her being in Korea, and also this plot line around maybe her mum had a baby while she was in Korea, which is wild. I found it quite enjoyable. It's classic YA storytelling. A bunch of teenagers doing not being able to deal with their relationships. But yeah, it's solid fun. It's very beautifully shot. Classic. There's just cherry blossom trees everywhere. So that's another staple of those films, I feel like. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool that it's obviously set in Seoul. There's a lot of Korean spoken, so obviously that's gonna a nice mesh, because obviously Korean or Asian culture has kind of pushed itself across into Western stuff. The soundtrack is really good. I don't know any of the individual songs, but I was like bopping along as the the show was going. Yeah, and I feel like it has a solid conclusion and clearly setting up for a potential second season, with kind of a cliffhanger kind of ending. So yeah, I would recommend Kitty XO. I think it's quite enjoyable, even though there's some crazy shit that happens.
How many episodes was it? A half hour or like an hour?
10 episodes, half hour each.
Okay.
Easy-ish binge for a day.
Yeah, which I saw you did. You just binged it that day.
Yeah, I went, yeah. Need content. So I also watched the documentary series Missing Dead or Alive, which follows a missing persons unit in America, as they kind of try and solve missing persons cases. It's in South Carolina. This is an odd one. My major criticism is it feels very staged at times, or like it doesn't feel overly. There's a lot of segments that it feels like they've asked the officers to like talk about what they want to talk about. Like, we kind of need you to have a conversation about this thing, and it just doesn't feel natural. I don't know if you've seen that in documentaries before. It just doesn't feel like this. It definitely feels like it's kind of forced. Some of it's like, oh, we're in the car, we're going up to the suspect's place. Can you call the other person to let them know what's happening?
Yeah.
At the same time, it definitely feels very forced throughout this. But yeah, I mean, it's 4 episodes. Some of the investigations are quite interesting and like kind of very sad, varied, and like, dude, it's kind of weird that like we're searching for this missing person. We don't know if they're dead or alive. It's like they could be, you know. And also in a weird, for me, this felt weird, but the episodes kind of bleed into each other instead of like the case being kind of resolved in the one episode. They kind of bleed into each episode. Like the result of the previous episode will be at the start of the next one. It's like,
weird.
why wouldn't you just edit it so it's all in the one episode?
Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird. So, yeah, that's missing, dead or alive. And then I also watched the documentary McGregor Forever, which of course is a documentary about Conor McGregor. It seems like he had a film crew following him ever since he came back after fighting Floyd Mayweather, kind of tracking his UFC career after that point. It's fine. It's like a very fly on the wall kind of thing. Kind of the major difference is like showing him becoming a dad and a family person, and kind of how that kind of changed him. And then, yeah, I didn't love it. I thought it was okay. Even as someone, I'm not overly invested in UFC and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it that much. So yeah, that's everything I watched this tree. Let's move into a little bit of film news. Again, the writer strike is going on. There's barely any news at the moment. Cannes is taking place at the moment. We'll do a recap next week when the actual festival is over. But has anything from Cannes caught your eye? Like,
the early reviews for Indiana Jones are terrible.
Yeah, well, they're mixed. The actual reviewers didn't enjoy it, but you know, people who just went and watched it seem to give positive-ish reviews.
The worst thing I saw was someone, I think maybe it was the IGN review or someone, I saw someone tweet something like, "This makes Crystal Skull look amazing," or something. I was like, I'm not sure you could say anything worse than that.
Yeah. That reviewer is quite harsh on these kind of projects, so not surprising, really. But a piece of news that did kind of ruffle feathers all over the internet was that Disney is planning to remove a bunch of content from Disney Plus. Reading from Deadline, Disney is starting to pull content from streaming with dozens of specials and series slated to leave Disney Plus and Hulu on May 26th, Deadline has learned. The titles which are being removed from Disney streaming services globally include Disney Plus's Willow, Big Shot, Turner and Hooch, Mighty Ducks Game Changers, Just Beyond, Diary of a Future President, The Mysterious Benedict Society, and The World According to Jeff Goldblum, and Hulu's Wild Last Man, Dollface, Hot Zone, Maggie, Pistol, and Little Demon. A number of freeform series are also slated to leave Hulu. The list is largely short-lived series, specials, and direct-to-streaming movies. The move, which comes with a content impairment charge of $1.5 billion to $1.8 billion, was announced during the Disney earnings call on May 10th. We are in the process of reviewing the content on our DTC services to align with the strategic changes in our approach to content curation, CFO Christine McCarthy said. At the time, no details were provided on the content that would be removed. Of course, Disney is the latest company to purge content from streaming platforms in a cost-cutting measure, as the industry is rethinking costs and strategy in that arena with a renewed focus on profitability. Of course, a lot of this sparked a lot of outrage. A bunch of stuff has been announced that it will be saved and other things that won't be saved. Dylan, what are your thoughts on a lot of these series being removed from Disney Plus, especially a series like Willow that haven't been out for very long?
It's terrible. I don't know why anyone would be happy with something getting removed. It's another tick in the box of physical media. This is also another reason actors are probably going to go on strike later this year or early next year, or probably after all the writer's strike. I wouldn't be completely surprised. I saw a story the other day. Apparently, the next whatever, I don't know the full understand how old the the guild stuff works, but apparently like the next voting time for the directors and the actors so happens to be like at the exact
Pretty
same
close.
time or something. So we may have a
I
period
think there is
there.
currently a vote going among SAG-AFTRA whether they're going to certify to strike if they need to.
So we may have actors and directors striking, and maybe the writers at the same time as well, which
probably. Maybe they're like, fuck it, we'll just do all three at the same time. We'll wait it out. Yeah.
And for people who are like, what's that have to do with this? Because this most likely just comes down to Disney doesn't pay the
residuals.
So they're removing it. That's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in a weird point where I could kind of understand it from Disney's point of view, where there's like, how much actual viewership of this content do they get after its initial release? Is like, is that a good investment to keep?
Here's my only problem.
Yeah,
I would actually be if they were like, look, it's business. We need to find ways to save money so we can like keep these people employed over here. And if this saves money on this spending, then like that's I'm sure them trying to justify it. Here's the problem. There is no other way to watch it, and the like full stop. So if this was the old days and these shows could be people could buy them and syndicate them for normal TV, then everyone gets paid their residues. Or if the TV shows were getting Blu-ray releases and DVD releases, and people were getting their residues from those sales, residuals from those sales, then that would, you know what I mean? But currently, the thing is this. We are trying to find ways to save money, says Disney. And the mouse goes, well, how about we just get rid of all these shows, because then we don't have to pay these people money. And then those actors go, well, that's kind of fucked. We want to get paid money from people watching our shit. And then the people who want to watch the show go, well, we don't have a way to watch the show anymore. So guess what? None of you can watch it. And also none of you getting paid. Huzzah. Like, it seems like the worst possible solution for a problem.
Yeah. I will say, from a counterpoint, John Kasman tweeted out about Willow going away. Of course, he's the creator of the new Willow TV series. He says, "I've been quiet on the news that Willow is leaving Disney Plus because I'm kind of into it. I grew up at a time when Disney movies were periodically re-released and not available to own, and it made them more special. I worry about many things, but none of them are that Willow will never be available again, either on Disney Plus or perhaps someplace else. And you never know where that could lead. Stranger things have happened. So grateful for all the love and enthusiasm. It's truly what keeps these worlds alive." Does
that mean?
Does forced scarcity kind of like raise, because they can bring it back and there's like,
no,
hey, Willow, the TV series is back.
No.
Now you can finally watch it again.
This is dumb.
Or are we now at a point where it's too far?
No, forced scarcity is nothing in the streaming age. That's dumb. I'm totally again, like, no offense, like John Kasdan, but this is dumb. This is dumb. I grew up in a time where scarcity made things cooler. Yeah, cool story, dude. Cool story. We now live with the internet and with the streaming and stuff like that. That's nothing. That's dumb. Fuck off out of here.
You don't think that when they bring it back, there would be a bump in people watching the series?
Oh yeah, for all of a week. Cool.
Yeah. I don't know. As much as I'm sure they're saving, what they're really doing is pushing more people to piracy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
well, look, I haven't watched all of Willow yet. I thought I had all the time in the world, and I was just going to watch it slowly in between other things.
You got like less than a week, apparently.
I got less than a fucking week. So I'm sort of annoyed. Because I don't think I have the fucking time to watch it.
Well, you should make the time. Because it's going away and never coming back. Until they announce it.
Do you want me to click end podcast and just go watch Willow instead? Like, what do you want me to do?
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a weird point. Where, yeah, I guess, it's interesting because Netflix is kind of none of their original content has ever been, like, not much of their original content has been removed. They've been willing to keep a lot of their original content there. But they have cycled in other TV shows and content and then brought it back and that kind of stuff. And then
Not their stuff.
yeah, licensed stuff and that kind of thing.
No, get like when people are like, "Oh, it's bullshit. The Netflix is removing the Transformers movies."
Find on another service.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. So I guess we'll wait and see, whether this pays off. Yeah, it just seems especially odd for Willow, which is obviously the one that's kind of gotten the most attention, because it is a big series. It's features a lot of LGBTQ characters, and it's Pride Month at the moment, so it feels like a little bit of a hate crime. That we'll see how this plays out. Also interesting, you talk about syndication of online series. Of course, Upfronts happened this week. And the head of ABC was talking about it. Of course, in the realm of the writer's strike going on at the moment, they can't have new scripted content. Could they bring Disney Plus series to free to air television? And they said no, because the length of those shows is too fucked up. We can't air them properly within the time frames and have ads at the same time. So it's kind of an interesting conundrum that they've forced themselves into, where because shows like The Mandalorian and WandaVision, episode length can fluctuate so much, they just aren't fit for free-to-air television. So, I thought that was kind of an interesting story. But the main thing I want to talk about from Upfronts is every year a bunch of new TV shows are announced. And every year we've done this, covered the Upfronts. We've done we have had Dylan guess whether these shows will get a second season. Now I want to go back. I've actually gone back. Results from last year.
Okay.
So we had 19 different shows announced last year. Only 9 of them have been renewed.
Yep, that's up. 2
of those never got to air, but have been since renewed. Might talk about them in the article I've got. 2 shows, Gotham Knights and the Rookies Feds, are currently on the bubble. The Rookies looks like it will be renewed, but Gotham Knights, it could go either way. So I think really you got 9 out of 15, which is pretty good.
Yeah, there you go. Smashed it.
So yeah, we're going to run through this year's new TV shows, and yes, Dylan will let me know if he thinks they will get a second season. Starting at NBC, we've got Extended Family, executive produced by Mike O'Malley, Tom Werner, starring John Cryer and Donald Faison, Abigail Spencer. Jim and Julia, after an amicable divorce, decide to continue to raise their kids at their family home while taking turns on who gets to stay with them. A process that becomes more complicated when Julia begins dating the owner of Jim's favorite sports team.
No.
All right. Found. A crisis management PR specialist works with a team to help find missing persons, but this everyday hero is hiding a chilling secret of her own, starring Shanola Hampton, Mark Paul Gosselaar, and Kelly Williams.
No.
The Irrational. Alec Mercer is a world-renowned leader in a behavioral science who lends his expertise to an array of high-stakes cases involving governments, law enforcement, and corporations, with his unique and unexpected approach to understanding human behavior. Starring Jesse L. Martin, Mahar Hill, and Travina Springer.
Nope.
The Americas. Narrated by Tom Hanks, this 10-part documentary series will employ revolutionary filmmaking technology to showcase the wonders, secrets, and fragilities of the Americas and reveal extraordinary, untold wildlife stories that deeply connect with millions around the world.
Yes.
Okay.
Can I have one wild card in here somewhere?
Can
I have a wild card somewhere?
Sure. What if...
Don't know, just in case I want one. Yeah.
Okay. Deal or No Deal Island. Set on the banker's private island where he makes the rules, there are twists behind every palm tree. Hidden on the island are over 100 cases with millions of dollars split between them. which teams must achieve so they can play a game of Deal or No Deal against the banker. Only one team will survive until the very last episode, where they'll compete to beat the banker for the biggest prize in Deal or No Deal history.
I hate every word that just came out of your mouth. But yes, that will get a second season.
All right. So we got these two series have already been confirmed. So I mean, we got Crapopolis, set in mythical ancient Greece. The animated series centers on a flawed family of humans, gods, and monsters that tries to run one of the world's first cities without killing each other. Created by Dan Harmon, starring Hannah Waddingham, Rich Ayoade, Matt Perry, Pam Murphy, and Duncan Trussell. That's a yes, if you're smart. And also Grimsberg.
I was about to say, how... Wait.
Yep.
Surely that's a shoo-in.
Also, Grimsberg, Marvin Flute is a brilliant detective with opinions eccentric as his tastes, who can't help but prioritize his own personal problems over the cases he's supposed to be solving, starring John Hamm.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are two animated series coming to Fox. So we got Doc. A brilliant doctor has to navigate a new world after a brain injury erases 8 years of his memory.
Yes.
We got High Surf. Follow the personal and professional lives of the heavy water lifeguards who patrol and protect the north shore of Ua, the most famous and dangerous stretch of coastline in the world.
Yes.
We've got Snake Oil. Contestants pitch unique products to entrepreneurs who have to determine which ones are fake. Is it hosted by David Spade?
Yes. Fucking hell.
We Are Family, a music guessing game show revolving around relatives of celebrities who perform duets with their famous family members, hosted by Jamie Foxx and Corin Fox.
Cool. Yes.
Popper's House, legendary talk radio host, has his point of view challenged at work when a new female co-host is hired, and at home where he finds himself still parenting his adult son, starring Damon Wayans Jr., Essence Atkins.
No.
Elsbeth, the unconventional attorney character Elsbeth Tosconi, known from The Good Wife and The Good Fight, uses her singular point of view to make unique observations and corner brilliant criminals alongside the NYPD, starring Carrie Preston, Wendell Pierce, and Kyra Patterson.
Yes.
Matlock, inspired by the original NBC series, brilliant septuagenarian attorney Madeline Matlock rejoins the workforce at a prestigious law firm, starring Kathy Bates.
No.
High Potential, a single mother with an exceptional mind whose unconventional knack for solving crimes leads to an unusual and unstoppable partnership with a by-the-book seasoned detective, starring Caitlin Olsen, Daniel Sunjata, is introduced by Drew Goddard and Rob Thomas.
Wild card.
Ooh. I don't know what that means, but okay. Do you know what that means?
You know what it means.
Okay.
Don't fuck with me. You know what it means.
Joan, a fiery, uncompromising woman in her 20s who is deeply scared and vulnerable. She is a devoted mother to a 6-year-old daughter, Kelly, but is trapped in a disastrous marriage with a violent criminal named Gary. When Gary goes on the run, Joan seizes the opportunity to create a new life for herself and her daughter. Adopting new identities and making new acquaintances along the way, Joan becomes a masterful jewel thief. She embarks on a thrilling, high-stakes journey that challenges every limit, driven by her desire to care for her daughter and create a secure home for them both through her charm and talent for impersonation and performance. She follows the twists and turns in Joan's life, the ups and downs, the heartache, and the joy that makes this story so compelling to follow, starring Sophie Turner.
No. Yes.
Librarians, the Next Chapter, a spin-off of the original TV series The Librarians. The new series centers on a librarian from the past who time traveled to the present and now finds himself stuck here. When he returns to his castle, which is now a museum, he inadvertently releases magic across the continent. He is given a new team to help him clean up the mess he made, forming a new team of librarians.
Sure. Yes. Fire it.
The Swarm. Around the world, strange happenings born out of the oceans. Whales destroy boats, deep sea crabs attack beaches, mussels block container ships. An unknown ice worm destabilizes continental slopes and triggers tsunamis. A deadly pathogen spreads into the drinking water. Across the globe, lives are increasingly imperiled, the situation worsening by the day, and yet nobody can draw a connection between these seemingly random attacks, except for a group of scientists who come together through their shared sense that something bigger is at play. An intelligent life force dwelling in the deep, capable of manipulating the ocean, everything that resides in it. A being which has borne witness to our destruction of the seas and has decided to drive us to extinction. But hardly anyone believes their findings, and so the group are forced to undertake a life-threatening mission. Tracking the intelligent life force within the Arctic Ocean is a mission they know may claim their lives.
No, because that sounds like it has some real world woke bullshit underlying it. No, I'm gonna watch that. No.
All right. Well,
American hate life, sense, global warming.
Yep. All right. Well, that's all the shows. There's a couple more unscripted ones, but I think you'll just say no. So yeah, look forward to maybe seeing some of those here in Australia.
Or not.
Or not. All right. Let's give some thumbs to trailers. And we've got a big thumbs for trailer segment this week. Of course, we've got all the trailers we're about to talk about this week in the show notes below. Let's kick things off straight away. Killers of the Flower Moon, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, Jesse Plemons, Brendan Fraser, and John Lithgow, members of the Osage tribe in
Osage.
Members of the Osage tribe in the northeastern Oklahoma murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, sparking a major FBI investigation directed by a 29-year-old J. Edgar Hoover and former Texas Ranger Tom White, described by Gran as an old-style lawman. Dylan, what do you think of this first teaser trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon?
Cinema is back, baby! Let me put it this way. I'm halfway through listening to the book. I'm very I watched the trailer. No, well, I watched the trailer. I was like, that was a very good trailer. Like, it told me fuck all, but that was like a very well put together trailer. It's a double thumbs up, very haunting and everything like that. And then I just did a quick Google to be like, what's the general like setup for this? Like, what is the actual synopsis of this movie? What is the go? And then I read it and I went, that's actually fucking super interesting. And then I was like, nah, fuck it, I can't wait. And then no. The part that pushed me over to listening to the book was one of the tweets coming out from the movie, because obviously it screened at Cannes. The Cannes, it's the Cannes Film Festival that's happening right now, everyone. Someone tweeted and said, "Oh, it's nothing like the book. Scorsese's not at all interested in really caring about the FBI element, whereas the book like focuses a bit more on that." And I was like, "Fuck it! If they're going to be different enough." I was like, fuck it, I'll listen to the book, because I was super intrigued by the true story element, and if they're going to give me different
vibes,
then yeah, I'm all in. So yeah, very keen for the movie though. The book's very good so far.
So 2 thumbs up,
2 thumbs up, 3 thumbs up. Fucking go.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. I think, like you said, it doesn't reveal too much, but kind of gives you a tone. We do get Leonardo DiCaprio doing a fantastic accent that I enjoy. How many wolves do you see in this picture?
I like it.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing it for 5 hours.
I think it's because he's like reading, but he's like, it's obvious. It gave me vibes of someone who's not very good at reading, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
because there's that one shot of him like working his fingers, like, and they said, "How many wolves do you see in the picture?" Like it's a child's book sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it looks really fantastic. Again, you only get a kind of a glimpse of everything.
For people who want to know, like without spoiling anything, the setup is this: the Osage people, this Native Americans, early 18th century or whatever, they are forced off their land onto a place that like was sort of considered to be barren and worthless. They then discover oil there, and then people come to basically set up and like take oil, and they charge them or whatever. And very quickly they become the richest people in the world at the time.
Yeah. And
that puts big targets on their back because they're not white rich people, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Of course, Killers of the Flower Moon will be released in cinemas on the 19th of October before coming to Apple TV Plus later in the year. Next trailer is for Theatre Camp, directed by Molly Gordon and Noah Galvin, starring Molly Gordon, Ben Platt, Noah Galvin, Jimmy Tatro, Paddy Harrison, Nathan Lee Graham, Ayo Edebiri, Caroline Aaron, and Amy Sedaris. Amos and Rebecca Diane are lifelong friends and drama instructors at a rundown camp in upstate New York. When clueless tech bro Troy arrives to run the property into the ground, Amos, Rebecca Diane, and production manager Glenn band together with the staff and students to stage a masterpiece, and they keep their beloved summer camp afloat. Tell them what you think of the trailer for this film.
I'll go one up, one down. It looks sort of fun. Not. I feel like it has a very specific audience, right? It's for all you people. It's all the theater kids who had stuff like this or went to similar things, or all you Glee kids or whatever else, or I guess the Ben Platt super fans and whatever else. But I'll go one up, down. It looks fun, but obviously, like it knows its audience, which is fun.
Yeah, I'll give it one up, one down as well. I thought it would be more over the top comedic because I've been kind of excited to hear about this film for a while. But it definitely seems like more of a mockumentary kind of thing, more in the vein of what's the one with the show dogs?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely giving me those kind of vibes.
Wasn't it just called something like?
Yeah, Best in Show by Christopher Guest. Yeah. Definitely feels like one of those kind of movies, which I don't think makes for very good trailers. Probably, but I'm still excited for the movie. So, lots of really good people involved. Also, it's directed by Molly Gordon and Nick Lieberman, not Noel Garvin. I got that. He wrote the script. All right, so Theatre Camp is coming to cinemas on the 7th of September. Next trailer, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, starring Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, and Henry Czerny. Ethan Hunt and the IMF team embark on their dangerous mission to track down a terrifying weapon that threatens humanity before it falls into the wrong hands. With control of the future and the fate of the world at stake and dark forces from Ethan's path closing in, a deadly race around the globe begins. Confronted by a mysterious and powerful nemesis called Gabriel, Ethan is forced to consider that nothing can matter more than his mission, not even the lives of those he cares about most. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1?
Double thumbs up, of course. It's Mission Impossible. It's the part 1 of the part 2 or 3 finale. We don't know. No, actually, we do know it's 2 parts.
There's still time.
There's still time, true. They start the trailer, obviously, with the bike stunt thing, which they released a video of last year, and it's just cool to see that with obviously they've CGI'd out the ramp, but Tom Cruise actually, obviously rides off that cliff and parachutes down and all that sort of stuff. You get the train stunt at the end, which they just fucking launch a train off a bridge for some reason. They love just blowing up real things. Good on them,
yeah.
I've seen the criticism being like, what's the fucking plot? I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Why do you need to know what the plot is? This is a movie that you don't need to market the plot for.
No, you don't. Like, they're like every Mission Impossible movie for, like, tell me the plot of the last several ones. Bad guy wants to blow up world or kill people.
Get stuff.
Yep. Hunt must stop them. His mission, if he chooses to, like, he gives a fuck. I don't. Yeah. Not for these movies. So I don't watch these movies for the story. Who the fuck's watching Mission Impossible movies for the story? Get the fuck out of here. You're watching Mission Impossible story. You're watching Mission Impossible movies at this stage for the action and the characters. And because the core cast we've come to know and love, right? And you really enjoy them. And the bad guys are usually pretty good in these movies, at least for the last few. They've been pretty good. So you're watching it for the characters, and you're watching it for the action. You're not actually watching it for some mind blowing narrative. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'm not going to tell you wrong because you're completely right.
Yeah.
But not to say that the stories are terrible.
I'm not saying they're terrible. I'm just saying you're not watching it for the story.
That's not the draw.
No, and it doesn't need to be.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, this is 2 thumbs up from me. Just a taste of the crazy action we're going to see. Tom Cruise and Rebecca Ferguson getting thrown around that train. I don't know what angles it's been thrown at. How they did that, I'm excited for not only the movie but the crazy behind the scenes footage that will eventually come out. Also, Pom Klementieff looks amazing in this. It's like the weird Harlequin person.
Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, very excited. Very excited.
We're supposed to get part 2 next year, supposedly.
But Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 will be coming to cinemas on the 13th of July. Not far away.
No.
Next trailer, Haunted Mansion, directed by Justin Simon, starring Lakeith Stanfield, Tiffany Haddish, Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, Rosario Dawson, Dan Levy, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jared Leto. A single mother and her son move into a mansion only to find that it's haunted. To combat the spirits, they hire a former paranormal investigator, a priest, a psychic, and a college history professor. Dylan, what do you think of this latest remake of the Disneyland ride?
So I've never been on the ride. I didn't like the 2005 or whatever Eddie Murphy movie. This, however, I thought looked really good. I'm going to double thumbs up in this trailer. I feel like this has given me the exact level of Disney, like as scary as you could take a Disney movie, I guess. And plus, most of the people in this I like. So Justin Simeon, the director, obviously I really like Dear White People. And then you've got Lakeith Stanfield looks amazing in this. That part at the end with him and Danny DeVito and Hassan Minaj drawing the picture, hilarious. That's just like really good. Owen Wilson, like I don't know, I with no love or affection for this ride, which I know obviously people who like grew up in America, or whatever, obviously go Disney World stuff like that. I saw in the comments of the video, someone's like, "Here's all the references to the ride," and it's like 20 fucking things with time codes and whatever else. So for the people who care, apparently the references are there, but for me, I was like, oh no, this looks fun. I like the cast. I like the vibes. I like the getting it. It looks as scary as you could make a Disney PG-13 movie. So yeah, I'll go double thumbs up.
Yeah, this is 2 thumbs up from me. This is the first time hearing about this project that has made me interested in watching it. Like we've talked about, the Haunted Mansion was the thing that was coming that they were doing. But this first look has actually got me wanting to go see it in cinemas. Of course, the cast is stacked, and just the group of paranormal-esque people just sitting around a table is just amusing in itself. With Danny DeVito, this college professor, sitting next to Owen Wilson and a priest. Crazy.
Was it a line? He's like, "If we have to do an exorcist, we are stuffed," something like that.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So, Haunted Mansion is coming to Australian cinemas on the 31st of August, set to release in the US on the 28th of July. Last trailer for this week, The Creator, directed by Gareth Edwards, starring John David Washington, Gemma Chan, Ken Watanabe, Sturgill Simpson, Madeline Volas, and Alison Janney. Amid a future war between the human race and the forces of artificial intelligence, Joshua, a hardened ex-Special Forces agent grieving the disappearance of his wife, is recruited to hunt down and kill the Creator, an elusive architect of advanced AI who has developed a mysterious weapon with the power to end the war and humankind itself. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for The Creator?
Oh, double thumbs up. I've watched this one twice now. So it's definitely really exciting, interesting trailer. It's such a full looking world with so much going on, and it just looks like it should be based off something, but it's not. So that's the most exciting thing so far about it. Gareth Edwards hasn't done anything since Rogue One, which came out like fucking 10 years ago. The cast looks stacked. Lots of really interesting people in here. Performances. Gemma Chan and John David Washington being the leads is really cool. But yeah, the I don't know. It sort of gave me. It's like District 9 vibes of like, I don't know, the world, I guess, similar, but like on a bigger scope, just of a original world with aliens and stuff like that. But obviously the aliens here are the AI and stuff like that. But yeah, I like that design they have. The dude, the turn, the quote, and it's going to play on similar questions that we have about, is can't kill the little girl because she's an AI, but is she a real person? Like all that sort of stuff. But I'm completely down and fine with it. It just looks absolutely stunning. Having ILM, obviously, special effects all in on this. It's like, holy fuck, does this just look like such an exciting world? And I can't wait to dive into it. Hopefully, it's as good as it looks. I tell you.
Yeah, this looks fantastic. Just incredibly beautiful. I mean, it's hard not to compare it to Rogue One because it definitely feels like that blend of like
that part at the end feels like Attack on Scarif where they're attacking the place where they're hiding out or whatever. Yeah.
Like this mixture of sci-fi and like real world elements. It definitely feels like a proper war movie as well. Like it feels like you could potentially take the AI element out and it would be like a Korean War or Vietnam War film. But yeah, it looks beautiful and like and then I'm sure it's going to be some crazy story about AI and the differences and like this is quickly shot up to one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Very excited for this one. So this the creator is due to release in cinemas on the 28th of September. All right, let's do this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
And in honor of Renfield coming out, we're doing top 3 vampire movies. Excited, Dylan?
Yeah, I like vampire movies.
Dylan, I'm like, let's do vampire movies. That seems like a good option. I quickly learned I have not watched that many vampire movies.
I really struggled to do a list.
Yeah. So, Dylan, what's your number 3?
Number 3, I've gone with 30 Days of Night. So this is a David Slade picture. Really cool. It's based on a comic book. It's this sort of Alaskan town where and honestly, doing this list, I was like, fuck. All these movies, every one on my list I'm about to read out, it just made me want to rewatch them. When I was like, "Damn, these are cool movies." So the at the start of the movie, like it's one of these things where the it's set in a place in the world, but it goes into darkness for like a full month, and then a gang of vampires turn up. So the movie takes place, it's 30 days a night because they literally are 30 days a night. And you got Josh Hartnett who plays like the sheriff or whatever, and he's trying to protect the town. For 30 nights while vampires are just fucking feeding all the time. They never have to go to sleep because it's always nighttime. So, really cool movie. It was I watched this when I was in high school and I thought it was like one of the coolest movies I've made. I've sort of come down from that a little bit now, but I still think it's a very good movie.
Dylan.
Yep.
My number 3.
Here we go. They're all going to be
Hotel
comedies.
Transylvania.
Yeah, they're all going to be fucking comedies or fucking, here we go.
The animated film in which Dracula runs a hotel so he can raise his daughter in safety. It's fun. It's a fun kids movie. Fun animated movie. Adam Sandler plays Dracula. He's enjoyable. They do fun vampire things. They make fun of all the monster movie tropes. And of course, it's directed by Gennady Tartakovsky, who is a fantastic director, animated director. So went on to do like Primal and other, of course, created Samurai Jack and shows like that. So yeah, it's enjoyable. I put that at number 3. Dylan, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is The Lost Boys. 10 years before Joel Schumacher ruined Batman, he made this little film, and it's one of the coolest movies you could ever watch that makes you feel like wearing a leather jacket and listening to punk rock. It stars Keith Sutherland as the leader of this vampire gang, who sort of gets entwined with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman, who play like these two brothers who have just moved to town, and they get like wound up in the events of this gang, and then learn they're vampires, and then all sorts of shenanigans happen, and of course there's a girl, love triangle, and all those typical 80s movies things. Also, the 69 Eyes did a really great song called The Lost Boys, and it's a banger, and it's based on this movie. So there you go.
All right. My number 2.
Yep, here we go.
Let Me In.
Yep.
The American remake of Let the Right One In.
Nearly all the 5 movies you've watched have been because of this podcast. That's it.
Directed by Matt Reeves. It's really good. Heartbreaking story about this little boy who befriends the girl next door, who just happens to be a vampire. Not that he knows it. Yeah, I think it was really fantastic. We just brought a cast for it. You should check that out. It's a really good movie. Dylan, what's your number 1?
I'm going to be honest. I really struggled with this list, and I just had to lock it in and just went YOLO. But I went with From Dusk Till Dawn. So this is a Robert Rodriguez directed movie. It's written by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Kurtzman. Quentin Tarantino also co-stars in it along with George Clooney. So it's actually a rare movie where Tarantino and George Clooney co-stars in a movie, which is wild. They play these two brothers who are criminals, and they like kidnap I think it's like a van or whatever, like a home, the ones you go on holidays in or whatever, like you drive around and you can sleep in. They sneak out of, I think, America, like across the border to Mexico or whatever, and they like park at a bar, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna chill out and have a great time here. Come have some drink hostages." Turns out the bar, as soon as it turns over nighttime, that shit's run by a bunch of vampires, and there's just fucking violence galore from that point on. Quentin Tarantino is just fucking overacting his ass off in this. It's hilarious. George Clooney is just like, he's the epitome of just like badass sort of in this, and then you've got a bunch of other, like, of course, like big names, like players who'd love to show up in these two's films. So you've got Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, Salma Hayek is fantastic in this, Danny Trejo, of course, Cheech Marin, Tom Savini, Michael Parks is in this as well. All the names you'd sort of expect, but yeah, it got another 2 spin-off films after this, and then there was a TV series that was also on Robert Rodriguez's streaming channel thing. I don't know, whatever that was, that network he had going. There was a TV series, From Dusk Till Dawn, as well. So it continues to live on, but the first film, it's just a wild time.
I feel like the talk of a remake. Not that they need it, but yeah. My number 1, What We Do in the Shadows, the Taika Waititi mockumentary film about vampires, following a bunch of vampires in New Zealand going about their business. It's hilarious, lots of fun, really enjoyable.
Your picks,
the TV show
it's hilarious, it's lots of fun. Mine are, it's fucking violent, it's a great time, like people die.
Why do we need vampires to be so scary? Well, yeah. So yeah, that's my number 1. Unsurprising. All right, Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
Fuck, I forgot again. God, I fucking need to put it in the fucking thing you sent me. Hold on.
It's a recurring segment.
I know, but I haven't recurrently remembered it yet. Well, I think I did one week there. No, I forgot.
Yes.
All right, this week.
Last week you did.
Last week I did. I did good last week. This week I care about none of that. Care about none of that. Fuck, it's a pretty shitty week, I think, isn't it? Well, no, what's your pick? I'm trying to think. I don't know if I care about anything.
I'm morbidly curious about The Little Mermaid. That would, the reviews have been a bit all over the place. So yeah, I'm morbidly curious about that. And then on the TV front, I'm definitely keen for the first episode of American Born Chinese, the Disney Plus show, delving into Chinese mythology.
All right, fuck it. I'll go The Machine movie, the Bert Kushner one, like based on a True Story or whatever the fuck's going
Kind
on
of.
with that thing. Yeah, kind of, but not. Yeah, I'll go that as my movie pick, and then TV series. I'm gonna go Deadlock, the Australian
Oh, shit.
Amazon one about that's like set in Tassie or whatever that we talked about last week.
Yeah. I didn't realize American Bull Chinese, the whole series is dropping at once.
Oh, there you go.
Here's a question before we wrap up.
Mm.
I've seen some people getting upset about this. Loki got a release date for later in the year. Going to be released weekly. Echo also got a release date, dropping at once. What does that say about Echo, that it's all dropping at once?
I don't think it says anything. I think people complain all the time that they want everything to drop at once, and then when Disney announces they're dropping a whole show at once, they go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! What's this mean about the quality of the show?" And they're like, "Well, didn't this is what you wanted?" And they're like, "Oh, no, we want it, but I didn't want you to give it to us." It's fucking, I liked complaining about it, sort of thing. I think Disney, and this is nothing against the show. It's just that's not as high quality. It's not as high profile as some of the other shows, right? So if they want to test being able to do different shows and different release schedules, they're choosing one that's they know people are going to watch. They know people are going to watch it, but it's also not as high caliber as some of the big name, like, other ones. I think that's all it is. They're just testing it.
I agree. I don't think we're going to have the massive discussion around Echo every week that we will around the other shows.
Yeah.
But we'll still enjoy Echo, and I'm sure.
Well, hopefully. I don't think.
Hopefully.
We'll wait.
Yeah,
see,
it's interesting.
Yes. I hope it's good. I'm keen, but yeah.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of Echo, whether it's going to be good or not, or what you want to watch this week, or anything else we discussed on this week's What Do You Want to Watch by going to explosion.com/Twitter, or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at the podcast, leave us a review on Podchaser or on Apple Podcasts, or leave us 5 stars, and you can leave 5 stars. We'll tell people about the show. And if you enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.